Hello and welcome to this week's edition of The Set Piece. Myself, Robert Grieve, as ever, Mr. Bill Leckie, still resplendent. In his sling, recovering from his recent surgery.
Get used to it, pal.
And there's been a lot going on in Scottish football last week. We'll come to Scotland later on. I was at Hampden the other night, a huge result for Scotland. Dire performance, but we'll come to that.
Yes.
Some weekend games after that international break. But first of all, Rangers, Bill.
Yeah.
A week ago, we're sitting here talking about Steven Gerrard. It looks like he's not in the running anymore. Kevin Muscat, Danny Rohl, the two front runners for this Rangers job now. What do you make of what's happened in the past week?
Well, I think we both, in our own way, called Steven Gerrard right. You said early on in the show that you didn't think he was 100% sold on it. And I said I thought he was the wrong guy for Rangers anyway. And I think that, kind of proves to be the case unless they are going to do what one or two people have said and go back and chin him a second time.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say, we're recording this on Wednesday morning. There's been a bit of chat this morning that the Gerrard thing could be back on again. I've made some calls and I'm led to believe that's not the case. However, I wonder, I don't know, gut feeling, I don't know what it is, but I wonder if it's something that maybe could still be reignited if things were to change. I think the situation, we're maybe looking back here, but the situation with Steven Gerrard, and we said, or it came out about timing, I think the biggest reason was structure at Rangers. I don't know, could that change? Is that something that could possibly...
You mean personnel
shift?
Structure? Upstairs?
Yeah, in terms of maybe a sporting director who's there, Kevin Thelwell doing a job.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe if he was to be shunted or moved, maybe that's something that could change it. As things stand, I'm told that the Gerrard thing isn't back on. As I say, this is Wednesday morning. Maybe things could change, but that was the stumbling block. And I wonder, given where Rangers are at, and we'll come to who they are, definitely talking to in a minute or two, but as things stand, you wonder if maybe it's something that, maybe it could be.
Well, I certainly, and I've said this before in here, I don't think Kevin Thelwell has covered himself in very much glory. I think he very much hung his hat on Russell Martin being one of the greatest coaches I've ever worked with, the absolute perfect fit for Rangers. The Chermiti thing, I think, is a debacle for Rangers. If you're Steven Gerrard and from the outside you've looked at it and said, no, this is just total hypothetical, I don't fancy this, I don't know if I can work with this, then how much do Rangers want Steven Gerrard and how much do they want the structure they're put in place to stay in place? There's the equation, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the story came out on Saturday night. It was bubbling around on Saturday afternoon that Gerrard was going to be was taking himself out of contention, and the word that we were getting was that it was a timing issue. Now, what changed from literally a matter of hours of speaking to the club to I'm not speaking to the club, it suddenly became timing. As I say, we could just be kind of fishing here. At the minute, I'm told it's not the case, but I just do wonder if it's something. As I say, Rangers, I'm not sure they know exactly what they want to do right now, and I think that's part of the problem. But at the minute, as I say, it may be that it's. As I say, there's certain bookies have lumped all over it. It could just be that somebody's put a $5 on it.
The bookies are very clever.
The bookies are clever. Make them even money, and everybody starts putting money on it.
Absolutely.
But anyway, Danny Rohl is someone.
Well, before you do that, I just. They keep coming back to Gerrard, don't they? I mean, they keep... And I think Rangers, one thing about Gerrard is, if they were to go back for him, before we move on, they will have seen the reaction from Rangers fans to the news that he wasn't coming. And Rangers fans, for all that they weren't pretending for a minute that Steven Gerrard was the silver bullet, he was going to save the day overnight kind of thing, I think they went, oh, God, just when we thought things were going to get a little bit more sane, there it goes again. And I think especially with Danny Rohl then becoming the favourite, as I wrote in my column on Monday, you then just go into another project, with a guy who once lost 4-0 to a Russell Martin team. So I think the one thing that would, if I was in charge at Rangers, I'd be saying, the fans want Gerrard. How much do we want to believe in the fans?
Yeah, but as I said last week, I wasn't convinced he wanted the job.
No.
And I'm still not convinced he wants the job. Well, he doesn't, as we know, as things stand. But I don't know, it's maybe, I don't know, it may be nothing, but let's see how that plays out. But at the minute, they are talking to Danny Rohl. 100%, he wants the job, he's available right now.
Yes.
Which is puts him ahead of Kevin Muscat in terms of he can't start for a number of weeks. Again, he wants the job. He's desperate for it, I'm led to believe. He's applied for it a number of times, but as things stand, he's at Shanghai Port in the Chinese Super League. They're in a title race. They've got 4 games to go. The first 3 games come kind of in the next few weeks, and then there's some cup games, and then the final game at the end of November, on the 22nd I think, of November.
At the end of it,
So it's whether Rangers are prepared to wait. Now, there's been chat of maybe bringing in a Neil McCann or a temporary interim manager while he kind of waits. What would you make of that?
I would say, well, if I was being told that the only 2 people available were Danny Rohl or Kevin Muscat, it would be Kevin Muscat all day long and twice on a Sunday, right? Because he's got a proven track record of winning things, and that's what Rangers need, somebody who knows how to win, right? Fans already have a connection with him because he played in a treble-winning side, albeit as a bit part player. But he ticks a lot of boxes for Rangers. Danny Rohl, for me, ticks no boxes, right? No boxes. Something like 29, 30 wins in 89 games for Sheffield Wednesday, 20th and 12th. As I say, lost 4-0 to Russell Martin at Southampton. I don't see where it comes from unless he's a brilliant interviewee, which they seem to quite like. So, if I'm Rangers and I believe in Kevin Muscat, I will wait for 4 weeks for him. Now, it's a big 4 weeks.
Yeah.
There's a cup semi-final in there, there's league games, there's European games. If he says, yes, I would like this job, and they say, yeah, we believe in you, Kevin, what are you going to do? Right, I'll be there in a month. I trust Neil McCann. Stick Neil McCann in. You saw what he did last season. I think, with all due respect to the rest of the guys who were brought in, I think Neil McCann was the brains of the operation.
I think it was a team effort, to be fair.
I know, but I think he's...
I do think it was a team effort. I think you would be doing Barry Ferguson and
Barry was great in terms of...
Barry Dodge at this service.
I think Barry was probably great in terms of motivation. I think Dodge is a really good coach. I think
Neil combined. Neil
comes across to me as the one who had the savvy in terms of getting the team to play. And if Kevin Muscat, we're led to believe they've been talking to each other for the last 2 years, we know what would happen if we ever get the Rangers job, right? You're coming with me, here's how we'll do it. So I don't think it's as if it's Kevin Muscat phoning up Neil McCann today and say, listen, I can't go for Rangers for 4 weeks.
They've got a relationship.
So they'll have a plan, right? And Neil McCann knows what the problems are in there. He knows who's who, he knows what's what. So I don't think it'd be the worst thing for Rangers.
No.
If listen, they've been in a mess for this long, they could probably go another 4 weeks, and even if in those 4 weeks they lost a cup semi-final, which they might not lose, even if they lose a couple of European games, if it's worth getting Kevin Muscat in the long term, it's worth waiting 4 weeks.
Maybe they appoint Neil McCann, he wins every single game, Kevin Muscat comes in and they start losing. So sort of what's happened at Rangers the way it's been going lately. I think Neil McCann, I've mentioned on here before, I think he's a really, really good coach by all accounts.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would be the worst move at all.
No.
It's bizarre, isn't it? You think he was in Barry Ferguson's part of his staff a few months ago with Dodgy, and here he is potentially get in there.
I genuinely thought during the summer, and it's maybe this is a timing issue because of the way Rangers messed about a wee bit, but I genuinely thought Motherwell, Dundee, Kilmarnock would have come in for Neil McCann, and I was disappointed for him that he never got a chance to, whether he'd have wanted it or not, I don't know, but I would have loved to have seen him given the opportunity.
Yeah.
When you look at the moves that these clubs have made, I think he's as good, if not better, than anybody who's got a job over the summer.
I've said it before, I think something like him's wasted in a radio studio, This guy should be...
He's very good on TV, very good on radio.
Absolutely, but...
Talks a lot of sense, but I think he'd be better using that sense in the dugout.
Yeah, no, so I definitely think that makes a lot of sense, absolutely, but it's still a gamble, but it's a big decision to make, to say we're kind of patching this for a few weeks, going with a temporary fix for I say it could be a month.
Yeah.
And if it goes pear-shaped in that month, through no fault of anyone's, just because of where the team's at, then it heaps a lot of pressure on Andrew Kavanagh and the guys.
Flip around all right. If Kevin Muscat was available just now, but he was kind of second favourite to Danny Rohl, and Danny Rohl was available in 4 weeks' time, I think the fans would go off on that.
Yeah.
But Kevin Muscat, they're kind of, again, because he's been there, they kind of go, I quite like...
You should say he's got a pedigree, the guy's won stuff. I don't think it's just the case of the fact that he played for Rangers.
No.
Or, the guy has got... he's 52, he's not a young manager anymore, but he's not at the tail end of his career.
But he's won leagues in 3 countries.
He's won titles, you know. He knows how to win.
Disciple of the Ange.
Well, that's the thing. I spoke to Alan McLeish the other day about him. Alan McLeish was
Alex words were very good on it.
The guy that signed him for Rangers, you say he's part of that treble-winning squad. I think he made 22 appearances. Maybe didn't play as often.
He didn't play any of the really. He didn't play Old Firm games, etc.
But you win a title, it's a squad game, isn't it? I mean, you generally need these guys to come in and fill gaps when other guys are injured, and he did that. He was part of that squad. Big X spoke really well of him. You know, said he was a good guy. He's obviously had a career as a player that was.
Well, it's fascinating that the reinvention of him, right? Because as a player,
he was a hard man,
12 red cards, 123 yellow cards in a 19-season career, right? He was successfully sued by one player who he severely battered on the park. He was always in trouble, and yet as a manager you'd think, I wonder if that's what he's going to be, but he's not. He's very much into individual responsibility of players taking their responsibility seriously. He's very much into a high press, high energy, let's play football kind of. It's very much like, it's like Ange Postecoglou's football, but with a bit of defensive savvy. He's kind of taken. He's Ange's Plan B kind of manager, and he really has reinvented himself very successfully from the place he was as a player, because he didn't have a great reputation among other players and managers for the way he conducted himself.
I was in Japan 2 summers ago with Celtic pre-season, and they played against his team. He spoke after the game, and he spoke really well. You know, you can really impressed with the way he kind of conducted himself. I think that could work. I genuinely think that could be. When you look at all the names mentioned, linked with the job, people who they have spoken to, I think that's got real merit. You know.
Well, it's the first one of anybody who's shown an interest in jobs. I said to you before, I thought Sean Dyche would have been a good shout for Rangers at the moment, even if it wasn't in the longest term basis, just to get them organised. But of the ones who have actually put their hand up and said, I quite fancy that, he's the one that I would say has credibility. It's just an interesting one with the timing. It was mentioned to me late Monday morning, and we got the story out in the afternoon. But it was my first reaction at the time when I heard about it, that he was a real serious contender. Was, well, were they going to wait? And that was the word I was hearing. It was something, if they think he's the right man, as you say, then they would be prepared to wait. You know, and that's what they're weighing up. That's what currently they're weighing up. Whether that's the kind of decision that they're going to take. You know, do they wait a month? Are they prepared to do that, or do they just kind of rip the plaster off and go for somebody right now? I wonder at the moment whether the people that run Rangers
know what they're doing.
Yes, and how much they're second guessing themselves, how much they're second guessing the fans. What do we want to be seen to be doing? They obviously thought they should be seen to be looking for Steven Gerrard, even though for me, and I think probably for you as well, it was a wee bit of a publicity stunt.
I wouldn't go as far as a publicity stunt. I think
it suited all parties.
No, I think, as I said last week, I think from Rangers' point of view, they had to ask the question. They couldn't, and I'll come to something else in a minute, but they had to ask the question, because I think if they appointed Danny Rohl on the Tuesday morning after they sack Russell Martin, it'd have been outrage. Because Rangers fans, understandably, would be saying, why didn't we go and ask the question of Steven Gerrard? So they've asked the question of Steven Gerrard. You move fast forward now. For me, the fact that it took a week for him to get there, he's not wanting the job was their issue, was their problem. But then when he gets to a week later, Danny Rohl then looks like the front runner, and Rangers fans at that point we maybe say, well, Gerrard's not wanted, so what's the positives of this guy? And they're maybe more willing to kind of accept that. You know, again, as I say, I don't think the vast majority want Danny Rohl, but they're more willing to actually kind of embrace it. The fact that Steven Gerrard had said no. The one thing I do not understand, and I said this weeks ago when or even immediately when Russell Martin was sacked, why have they not asked the question of Derek McInnes? I know we keep banging on about this, and I know that Hearts fans are probably outraged by this. He's a happy, and he's in his, why are you trying to displace him? We're not. But why do Rangers not ask that question? Or even a Stephen Robinson? Why have they discounted? Because it came out very quickly.
Let me say, I did not say Stephen Robinson, right?
No, but they're
not having him.
My point being, managers who've had success in Scotland and who are doing well in Scotland currently. Now, why are these guys discounted? Why? Because the message, Bill, the message that's come out from Rangers from day one in all this is that we aren't looking at anyone who's based in Scotland. Why not? Why would you not do that? Now, I know it's almost a moot point because we're talking about something that's not going to happen. But for the and Derek McInnes, by the way, he's comfortable. He spoke yesterday. talked about it, about how he was happy, and I'm sure he is. Why would they not ask the question?
Do we know that they haven't asked, even quietly around the back, listen, if we approached you, what would happen?
I'm led to believe no contact either to Hearts or to Derek McInnes' side of things.
But this is something we've spoken about before with Rangers, is there's a genuine snobbery within the club about things that are Scottish. When you look at we've talked about the signings they made during the summer, nobody's going to tell me that if you look at Max Aarons and Jane McComa and Joe Rothwell, etc., that you couldn't have gone and got James Penrice, Danny Armstrong,
we've said it before,
David Watson, etc.
Lawrence Shanklin was staring in the face,
absolutely.
and you say they've ended up signing a guy from Everton who doesn't look like he's justifying the money that they're paying to him or they paid out for him.
He's won a competition.
No, listen, as I say, it's not happening, so I just find that really, really strange that they wouldn't even get down that road, but this is where they're at, Rangers. I think I can understand them now taking their time to a certain extent. If they do come out today or tomorrow and say, it is Kevin Muscat, we're going to wait a month, and Neil McCann or another is going to be taking the team on Saturday, maybe with Steven Smith. Who, by the way, I'm led to believe is a really, really good young coach.
By the way,
he's got a bit about him.
Everything I hear about Stevie Smith.
Yeah.
And by the way, I see him quite a lot. He goes to the same gym I go to, and he.
You go to the gym?
I do go to the gym, as you know fine well. Me and my one arm pull-ups like that.
Is there a vending machine?
Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen Smith is in that gym battering himself when he's not. Even when he's not training, he is very, very, very fit, very committed to his fitness. And from everything I hear, he's a terrific coach as well.
Most of us are committed to our fitness.
Yeah.
No, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out, because it's dragging on. If you're a Rangers fan, I've got Rangers fan pals who are texting me every other minute, asking me what's going on, and it's you kind of feel as though you're repeating yourself a little bit. But it's I mean, they played Dundee United at the weekend, so it'll be interesting to see who is actually in the dugout.
Well, it's very interesting. I think between now and then, the optics of where they're at will determine the size of the crowd and the mood of the crowd when they play. See, if they've announced by then, Kevin Muscat's coming in 4 weeks' time, Neil McCann's in the dugout, everything's going to be great, don't worry about it, deal with a bit of pain for a couple of weeks, I think people will come in a better mood. If they get to the weekend with nothing having happened, I think people will say, well, what's going on here? And I'm just not sure what reaction Danny Rohl gets if he's in by then.
Yeah.
I because again, you're going to look at it and say,
I definitely think
what does he have that Russell Martin didn't have?
Yeah, I think if you're definitely looking at it now, if you ask Rangers fans right now who they would want, if it's not going to be Steven Gerrard, and I even think some people might be not too sure about that now, given he has actually been kind of back and forth. But
I was just never sure about Steven Gerrard at all.
But I think right now Kevin Muscat would be the. I think they would accept Kevin Muscat. I think they would say, we get this. As I say, he's a guy who's won.
He's won stuff. Well, if you had the line, the classic line that we've spoken about over and over when Russell Martin was there, Alec McLeish, the advice he got from Walter Smith, just bleeping win, right? And Kevin Muscat knows how to do that, right? Russell Martin kept making the excuses for, well, the project's coming along really well. The fact that we're not winning this Saturday, don't worry about that. We'll sort that out. You go out and you win games. And Kevin Muscat, as a player, found a way to win, which wasn't very acceptable for a lot of people. As a manager, he's found a way to win that is very acceptable for a lot of people. And I can't really pick holes in why and say why you wouldn't want him. I do have a slight thing about the Rangers fans wanting him because he used to play for Rangers. If he hadn't played for Rangers, would they be thinking about him?
Muscat?
Aye.
I don't think it's just about that, Bill. I really don't. I think genuinely, if you look at his CV...
His CV is very good.
Because it's not as if he was a Rangers...
No.
He wasn't like a fan's favourite. He wasn't like
at all.
He's not a hero, you know. I think the fact that he played for the club is ticks a box, I suppose, but... No, I really don't think it's about that. I think it's about the fact that
he's very, very good.
He's got a good CV.
Yeah.
I think the Postecoglou thing, as Big Ek mentioned in the piece I did with him, is a factor.
Yeah.
You know, that maybe in years gone by we'd maybe look down on coaches who've worked either in Australia or working in the Middle East, the Far East, and that's no longer the case because Ange Postecoglou came and you went, this guy knows what he's doing.
And he's also followed him in the door at clubs, and he's carried on where he's left off. So no, I don't think there are many things to look at that would be a a cross against his name. You know,
no,
more ticks.
I do think in terms of I'm going to the game at Ibrox on Saturday. I think it'll be a big crowd. I mean, for all it's been an international break, so it tends to be that when there's no club football for a week or two, that fans are itching to get back to see their club. I think Rangers fans as well are a kind of resilient lot. That as much as they were at the end of their tether by the end of the Russell Martin era, the fact that he's away now, I think this will be the first game back since he's away. So I think there'll be a big crowd. I think there'll be a degree of normality about Rangers at the minute. I get what you're saying.
I think a lot will be to do with how they handle the next few days, how they communicate where they're at.
I think if Danny Rohl was to be appointed, though, for instance, and I'm not sure he will be, but I think if he was to be appointed, I think they would start off in a relatively positive frame of mind with him.
I'm not sure.
I don't think they're going to heckle him into the ground.
No,
I mean, they're not going to do that.
No, they're going to look at it and say, right, they gave us a project with Russell Martin. It was an absolute disaster.
I think they're
now giving us another project with Danny Rohl, and they would kind of sit with their arms folded and go, let's wait and see. And if they went a goal down, these are all ifs. You go a goal down at Dundee United, and they go, oh, here we go again. Whereas I think even if Kevin Muscat's on the other side of the world, and they've appointed him and they've put in his man in the dugout and they've said, don't worry,
more slack, yeah.
Help is at hand. I think there'll be a lot more optimism around Ibrox.
There's talk of, I mentioned this in the story I did, I think on Sunday or Monday, that if Danny Rohl was to get the job, he's looking at a former Rangers player to go in and work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Wallace is a name that's been mentioned to him, I know that.
Yeah.
One or two others as well, but what do you make of that? I think that's a fairly smart move. I think it's something Russell Martin could have probably done with, somebody just to go in there and work with them and just have that little bridge.
I couldn't even begin to tell you what Lee Wallace's qualifications would be to be a number two or whatever he was.
Well, he's coaching at Hearts right now.
Yeah, I know, but to be at that level, I don't know. What I'm saying is, I think Kevin Muscat and Neil McCann sounds a lot stronger than Danny Rohl and Lee Wallace to me.
Okay. I can understand though the actual idea though of having someone there beside him who maybe knows the club, maybe knows. It'd be an interesting one, obviously, with Lee Wallace. The fact that his exit from Rangers in the way that worked out at the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll keep obviously abreast of the whole situation as we have done all week with Rangers. Stick with Sunspot. We've brought you all the big news first. And what are you doing?
I'm just losing my microphone for a second.
Microphone.
I'll just hold it here.
It's funny if you take your other arm out.
I know, it'd be great. Hey, it was just a big joke.
Because he's just kidding on.
I'm just at it.
So keep an eye on all the social media and website stuff on what's happening with Rangers. What else are we going to talk about?
Do we need to talk about Scotland?
Yeah, we do, I suppose, don't we?
We're in a great place.
So much optimism a few days ago, or a week ago. I was sitting here, so did I use the word pumped? I think I might use the word pumped.
Yeah.
About how
we might do against Greece.
And we kind of, in the end, we kind of did.
We did. It's fascinating. I've found the last few days the reaction to Scotland absolutely fascinating. The amount of people I've had giving me pelters, because especially after the Greece game, I said, we've won the game, let's not kid ourselves on, we need to look at how badly we're playing. And people said, no, all that matters is the win, I'm saying, no, if we're going to get better, and if we're going to get to the World Cup, say it's through a playoff, we need to be better than that, because we're going to be playing a fairly high standard opposition.
Let's just get there first.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think you can do that. I think you need to, and Steve Clarke, I thought I was really refreshed by his attitude after the Belarus game, where he came out and basically said, that is the worst I've seen in 72 games. I can't understand it. It needs to be better. You got John McGinn saying that he basically told him a new one at half time, which he'd never really heard before. You had Scott McTominay coming out after the game and saying, it is not good enough. Go stop turning my chair. I like facing you.
You keep facing me as if
I like facing
Parkinson or something.
That's how I see you. That's how I see you. I see you as a kind of the new Michael Parkinson.
There.
I don't look at the camera. I just like looking at you, Robert. I thought Scott McTominay coming out and saying, no, this is rubbish, this isn't good enough. That's what we need to hear. And this idea of, I don't worry about it, it'll be all right in the night. It's not good enough. Whatever job you do in life, you've got to every day look at yourself and want to be better than you were the last time. And we can't just go, well, we got to win in the end, so therefore everything's okay, because it's not okay.
I thought everything Steve Clarke said after the match was absolutely bang on the money.
Absolutely.
And he was absolutely right. But at the same time, I'm kind of caught in the middle a little bit. Clearly the performances have to be better, right? It was both games were pretty dire, other than the final 20 minutes against the Greeks in the
which might be the bizarrest 20 minutes of football.
It was crazy. But there's no hiding from that. It has to be better. But qualification, how did Scotland play when we qualified for the 82 World Cup? Can you remember?
Yes.
Can you?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
I can.
How did we play qualifying for the 86? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's about qualifying. It's about getting results. Results matter. I don't remember how. I went all the qualifiers before Italia 90. I don't remember how we played.
Well, see,
we played well against France. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm a bit more geeky with these things. I do remember, and what I do remember is that when we then went to each of those World Cups, one of the reasons we failed to get out the groups is that we hadn't moved on. We hadn't improved.
Right. So you're saying we played great in the qualifiers?
No, I'm not. Not at all. I mean, in 82, for instance, we end up hanging on for a 0-0 in Belfast in the last game, and we end up in a playoff for 86, and we go through with David Cooper's penalty, and we've not, apart from 74, 78, way back then, we qualified fairly comfortably in small groups. We played really well, played above ourselves. But I'm not. You're right. Qualifying is what matters. But examining how we play as we qualify to improve ourselves once we get there and we've never done. Scotland have never done that in finals. We've got there and thought, oh great, we've got there. Let's go and enjoy it. We need to be better.
I don't disagree with that, and I think in an ideal world, you play well throughout the qualifiers, you build up momentum, you go to the tournament, and everyone's flying, and you make a real impact in the tournament. Rarely happens, You almost start. If we were to qualify next month, tournament's not for another 6 months.
A million things can happen.
7 months.
I know.
So there's no momentum getting built up from this campaign that's going to be taken into next summer.
No, but look at how long now, especially at home, how poor we've been at home over the last. Look at the last Greece game, the Iceland game, the Northern Ireland game, the number of games we've played where we've been so flat and passive, and we've ended up chasing our tails, and we can't be like that. And we need to start. And I felt much better after reading Steve Clarke's words and watching him then the next day.
What are you going to say, my match report though?
Oh, reading your match report always makes me happy. But when you filed late on at night, and you copied me in on his quotes from the.
I don't want to compliment now.
No, I always compliment you. I like turning to face him. I like reading his match reports. What else do you want? Anyway,
oh, you're right. His words were really good.
His words were great, and they made me feel a lot better that he wasn't going.
Yeah.
What are you moaning about? One.
You'd have put money on him doing that, wouldn't you?
Because Andy Robertson did it, I think, at the Greece game, saying, you guys criticise all you like, we won the game. And I think that was a bit of a blinkered attitude. Yeah. I don't think that
a
really
lot of the
helped.
players often fall into that trap. They have done forever and a day.
But I think they all got a fright from how badly, collectively and individually, they played against Belarus.
Yeah.
And how easily we could have ended up not getting the 3 points.
Yeah, because I mentioned this after the Denmark game in Copenhagen. I came away with a real sense that the players were really up for it, and they kind of grasped the kind of reality that this was their chance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of eked away the last couple of games where you're thinking, hey, come on then. I mean, Scott McTominay, a Ballon d'Or nominee a couple of months ago. Last couple of games, he scored what proves to be a vital goal at Hampden against.
But you almost kind of went, there's Scott McTominay.
Oh, he was so. Just so
and I wonder, isn't it funny, because before when he was in the fringes at Man United, it was as if when he came to Scotland he went, right, I'll show you.
Shackles off.
Right, but now that he's such a big player at Napoli, it's almost as if, I've got Napoli at the weekend, I mean, who we playing at the weekend? I wonder whether Scotland becomes a more difficult proposition.
The other thing he's shifted is obviously Kevin De Bruyne has gone into Napoli and he's maybe playing his position and he's maybe been shifted a little bit. I don't know if that's playing in his mind or what, but he wasn't the only one. There's Andy Robertson, John McGinn done a great game.
I worry about Andy Robertson just now. I've seen quite a few times with Liverpool. There was a goal they lost. I can't remember. It was one of the league games recently, and it's the same thing as happened with both. With the one that was disallowed and then the one that Belarus scored, where he's at the back post and he's on his back foot and he's kind of trying to defend with his right foot rather than his left foot. And he's
he
not
should be defending with his right foot, but he should be.
No, but what I mean
is, side onto it. He was.
But he's not right. He's not. That's the problem. He's not side on it.
Telling Andy Robertson how to defend.
But he'll know that. He'll know that as well. And that worries me that there's little things there that you think, why is that repeating itself? Why is it happening?
Yeah. Listen, there's no doubt the players are off it, and I think what Steve Clarke has said to them post-match and to us in the press and the fans post-match, I hope it gets through to them, and I hope, when he said there'll be a different animal, that was one of the lines he said, there'll be a different animal when we go to Greece next month, and I hope they are. We've got 2 games, 2 big performances, the Greeks are out of it, so that's going to affect things hopefully, and if we can get back to Hampden at the end of November. The Danes in a kind of winner takes all.
Aye.
It's a cup final, you know.
That's
So the form, you know what I mean? We're talking about form and how they're playing, but if it's almost like a kind of cup final, winner takes all, I would fancy them to at least turn up. They might not win, it might go either way, but I think our players would.
Do you think we'll win in Athens? Because Denmark will take as many as you like off Belarus.
I don't think we'll lose in Athens.
Okay.
I don't think we'll lose in Athens. So.
Because if we lose in Athens,
it's done.
Basically we're not going to win the group.
Done.
So goal difference is not going to come in.
Second place, and we're looking at a playoff in March.
Yeah.
Which you would obviously it's a backup there, but I've said it all along. I think if we're going to qualify, I think we'll have to do it in these 2 games. I think if we go to a playoff, I think that potentially the final would be away from home.
Yeah.
None of our luck. Yeah. It'll be Italy or something. You know.
Absolutely.
Who knows? But yeah, I think if we can deal with this next game in Greece, don't lose it. Get back to Hampden for the second game. 50,000 packed stadium, place will be rocking.
Yeah, I would
trust the players to at least turn up.
I would fancy us in that situation, and if we had to beat Denmark, I would fancy us.
Yeah. So we're going to say that last week.
No.
Miami.
Scotland are playing in Saskatchewan. No. We're going to be in Miami for 3 weeks.
Mark, you're sitting on the couch. Gary, you can come with us, you can do the video. And did I make my tea this morning? My coffee?
Mine.
Mark,
I know. You made my coffee.
I made the coffees. Where are you going this weekend?
Same as where I'm going everywhere.
Oh, no, you're
these
not.
weekends. I'm not going anywhere because I can't drive and I can't go to games, and it's driving me absolutely nuts.
Have you done up?
Huh?
You never mentioned that.
No, it's honestly not being at games just now is busting my head, Robert. And see the idea of the first week I thought, great, I'll just sit all weekend and watch live games on the telly, and it's not the same. It's just not the same. I want to be at football matches.
Yeah, well, I'm at Ibrox on Saturday to see what happens there. As I say, we'll keep abreast of all what's going on at Ibrox on the Scottish Sun website, across social media channels, and of course in the Super Sorroway newspaper.
Super and Sorroway.
Is that us done?
I think so. This weekend, I think there's a big game there for...
A big Hearts game, if they can keep it going, because they play Celtic a week on Saturday or Saturday. If they can get another win done at Rugby Park, they'll get back to his old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
That sets it up great for next weekend.
The one I was going to say was big, I think, and it's at the other end, is for Stephen Presley against Celtic.
Okay.
Because...
It ends on Sunday.
Yeah, they've just taken a 4-0 at Aberdeen. Aberdeen, who hadn't scored for about 18 years, suddenly beat them 4-0. And I think things could go very quickly wrong for Stephen if he doesn't stem this.
Do you think he's a man under pressure? Do you think?
Oh, I think he's been a man under pressure. I was at the second game of the season. They lost at home to Airdrie in their first game of the season in the League Cup. I was then at Alloa the following week. They lost at Alloa, and he looked then like the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Right?
And I don't think it's got an awful lot better since then, and I do worry for him. I think, I mentioned like Neil McCann, I think the fans were underwhelmed when Stephen came in, and I don't think anything has happened so far that's made them feel better about themselves. And I think, and I'm not saying you turn it around when you play Celtic at home, but I think how they play against Celtic at home is going to be very, very important.
I saw them at Rangers at Ibrox early part of the season. They were terrific.
Yeah.
Defended brilliantly. They broke in Rangers. They were really, really good.
Yeah.
They could have got more out of that game actually. They were good that day. So, but yeah, you're right.
I'm concerned for them.
Yeah, been an interesting one. You say Celtic. Obviously, things are a wee bit up in the air there in terms of how they've been playing. So you wonder how that could...
The Rangers thing really does take the heat off Brendan Rodgers a little bit, because he's got a lot of questions to answer. You know, there's a lot of stuff whirling around his head that, and the fact that everybody's talking about Rangers kind of gives him a bit of space to go and breathe a little bit.
Yeah,
I think he popped off for a few days holiday there, and you know. And
wait, see Derry Girls tour up at Bill accounts?
Yes.
You're familiar with the Derry Girls?
I am. I did enjoy that show.
Okay, it was a good comedy. Yeah, well, interesting to see what happens this weekend. Yeah. That's us. I think we're done.
I think we are done.
I've listened to you enough.
Cheers, pal. Thanks for the coffee.
Got you the coffee. Again, let us know in the comment section before. A few people were making comments last week, you'll love this, that you couldn't get a word in edgeways.
Who, me or you?
No, that you couldn't get a word in it. I was speaking too much. So I've backed off. You'll
I don't think you speak too much.
Well, our viewers did.
Well, thank you, viewers.
So I've deliberately let you speak more.
That's very nice of you, isn't it? You let me speak, that's nice, isn't it?
So, but let us know in the comments section. We do read them. I do read them. Bill doesn't read them clearly, but I read them. So let us know what you think in the comments section.
They tell me myself. They come up to me in the supermarket and say, how's your arm, pal? That Robert gives you a right hard time.
That's arm.
And he never stops talking.
Honestly, that's arm. So I just chopped it off.
Honestly, mate, it would be a lot better than taking these drugs that I'm taking.
Catch us next week on The Set Piece.